No, you look very young. Like you look like
I
you're like
appreciate it. I don't drink.
20.
It's because I only smoke weed. Man?
You want to sit?
Well, yeah.
Of course. I like to stretch my legs.
I know. You know what?
That's the thing when you have long legs.
It's a long legs thing. Do your knees like to get better?
No, no, I'm fine. Yeah.
Are you sure?
I
Because I know
promise.
how the knees get. Listen, I live this life.
You haven't lived this life until you've lived this life.
Oh, well, I mean, I ain't lived this long of this life, right? But I've lived this
Yeah.
tall life.
Yeah, cause like it's I'm a former athlete, so
You played everything, right?
I did. I'm very familiar with the pain of that. Yeah.
But that's a good thing. That's the fun thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, ew. But as you get older, it's not fun pain anymore. It's pain.
I feel my shoulder, like this shoulder.
Uh-huh.
I still feel pains. That's really
Did you
it.
play sports?
Oh yeah, I play football. I went to school for
Really? Where you from?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Ah.
I wanted to play
What's
basketball.
at Jacksonville? Dion went to Jacksonville to be a coach.
Oh no, he went to Jackson State.
Oh, he went to Jackson State.
That's
That's an
Mississippi.
HBCU.
Yeah, that is. Shout out to HBCUs.
That's
We are
it.
rolling.
Did you attend an HBCU?
I went to, yes, I did.
Okay.
But the first school I went to Southern Virginia University.
Mhm.
And then the second school I went to was Central State University,
Woo-hoo.
the Marauders. And then that's where I got my HBCU experience.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The topic today is
Cool.
forgiveness. And I feel like I've run into, actually, I'm going to say this, women have actually taught me forgiveness because I had to learn forgiveness dealing with women. And other women was like, well, you should just let it go. It's like, because it's not for you. It's like, I just don't understand this forgiveness mess. Let's be toxic. Let's say something new. But you understand forgiveness a little bit better, right?
I do. I would like to think that I do because in my realization, I had to figure out that forgiveness was it. You know, it's almost like a duality. You know, it's for you, but it's for but in struggling to release, you feel like you are giving power to someone that hurt you. And when you learn to move past that and know that you are removing that burden from yourself as well, and the guilt from the other person, it works in tandem in helping you to heal, you know? And so that's what I had to realize, that I was holding on to not wanting that person to not feel guilt, and
Not wanting that person to not feel
I'm sorry, and wanting that person to feel guilt. I was holding on because
you want them to
I
feel
wanted to
how they made you feel.
how they made me feel. I wanted them to feel pain. You know, I felt like I could project that onto them from holding on and not realizing it. It's almost like drinking poison and expecting that person to die. You know what I mean? But it doesn't work that way. It's only poisoning you. So that's an analogy I kind of came up with.
I don't get it. I get forgiveness. I get why you should have forgiveness. I get all of it. Action steps though. That's what I don't get. It's easy to talk about it, right? You can talk about it until you see them on social media and you're like,
Well, it's funny you should say that, because until you're met with a situation where you're actually having to face it head on, you know, until you bump into that person, or until you, like you say, until you are faced with actually having to engage with people that may have known that person or whatever the case may be, then you don't really know how much you've healed. But see, the first action step would be to heal yourself. from anything that anyone has done to you, not to wear or own that pain, that cloak of shame, or whatever it is that it left you feeling, to completely remove it. And that comes through a lot of meditation. In my own experience,
You know how to do meditation?
I do.
Okay, we'll talk about that in the next part. But
In my own experience, I was in a relationship with someone who caused me harm, physical harm. And although in the beginning of the relationship, there were warning signs that I overlooked. I think probably because of my traditional upbringing. I was brought up in a home where it was super traditional, mother, father, Christian upbringing, so what I thought was ideal. And so having said that, I perhaps was a bit naive, a bit green, and in going into it, I knew a lot of things, but I didn't fully know how to separate things that you would see, or things you may consider like, oh, this is not good, or this is a red flag. I couldn't separate that from the things that I romanticized about being in a relationship and being in love.
I'm so in love.
Yeah, I'm a Libra, and I like balance, and I like to find my
You're
perfect
the first
space.
Libra I've ever knowingly met. But keep going.
Yeah, I like to find that perfect space, and I like to stay in it. Even if it's not perfect, I like to romanticize that it is. And so, and moving forward in that relationship, like I said, there were many things that I saw that I ignored, and one thing led to another, and it became physical one day. And the person hurt me, like, really badly. At the end of that situation, I wound up with a broken leg. I lost teeth. Essentially, they tried to kill me. They were going to throw me off a 5-foot balcony, 15-foot balcony. I endured a lot of physical pain, but moreover, the physical pain was nothing compared to just yeah, it was just disparaging to my entire psyche, my spirit. I was broken. That's the first time in life that I can say I felt broken, because it was something that I was unfamiliar with, having grown up in such a traditional, household, and so I went, and it's funny when something happens to you, just the gamut of emotions that you go through anger, you go through denial, you go through hurt, you go through resentment, and not realizing that all those things eventually, when they're undealt with, they turn to hate, they turn to bitterness, they turn to thoughts of revenge, they turn to all kinds of unhealthy emotions.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh gosh, yeah. And it starts with a seed. It's a thought. And all thoughts, are seeds, essentially. And they literally just frame our consciousness for what we're going to be in any given point in time in our lives. So that's why I'm very thoughtful and try not to overthink any situation, but to take what I'm supposed to have in that moment and keep going, and always just try to focus on the highest outcome for myself. So.
Okay, so you brought up focus. Focus on the best outcome. I think this is one thing I talked with Ms. Stone about. Actual like manifesting, because I wonder, does that play any role in actual like the forgiveness process?
Well, of course it has to. you know, um, because, energies are met with like energies. So let's just say if I am attempting to manifest peace, um, a higher alertness, just basically vibrating at a higher frequency. If that's what I'm projecting, then that's what I will get and receive in return, right? And so I think I would be remiss to say that you cannot have one without the other. So if I am meditating to manifest something positive, I would have to project out something that was positive as well. You know.
Okay, I get you. Never mind. Let me just keep going.
Did I answer the question?
You answered it, but because I struggle with just the
To
concept
repeat the
itself.
question.
No. You answered the question. I think that's my problem. I think that to some degree I'd be wanting more than just more than just what I got, because it made me feel slow sometimes. Like, especially things, because I was an athlete. Right? So, like, the physical part is nothing. Like, you train yourself to deal with games and people talking trash to you in games and people bumping you in games. What you don't, like, what you can't train as well is, like, a fallout breaking where everything goes left. It's like, okay, now how do you tell me to, like, meditate in this moment? Like, to chill and just, like, let this go?
And see, it's no cookie cutter response to that. It's one of those things that comes like wisdom, comes over time. You won't feel the way you feel today in your youthful state. That you
she
feel.
She told me she think I'm 21. I wish.
that
Lord, let it happen.
that
Freaky
you will
Friday or
feel
something?
20 years from now.
Right.
It's a process. And but if the things that we needed in life to make it, like on our spiritual journey, if they were given through us, say by osmosis, then we would never grow. We would remain stagnant. So it's important that we don't know everything right away, because the learning and the growth, the growth is in the learning process. So you have to go through those things with the amount of knowledge that you have to be elevated to the next level, to the next learning, to the next growth spurt per se.